Oh, this is the logo. Yeah, he says he's. ¿Are we in person? Are we in person? Wait, I told you where. So. Yeah.
Call meeting to order. Kelly, can you roll call?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, thank you. District 1, Councilman Rios.
Here.
District 2, Councilman Pastor.
Present.
District 3, Councilman Leatham.
Present.
District 4, Vice Mayor Stapleton.
Here.
District 5, Councilman Gonzalez.
Here.
District 6, Councilman Shipley.
Here.
Mayor Gamaros.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Michelle, can you lead us through the invocation?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this evening as we meet to discuss city issues. We pray for your guidance as decisions are made. We are so thankful, Heavenly Father, for this council and their integrity and commitment to do what's best for our community. We pray that you guide and protect all in attendance and bless the families that they represent. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start with a summary of current events. I'll start with you.
Yes, the news this afternoon, we said that in the last 10 days, this will be the fourth winter storm heading our way. So button up and be careful out there, especially on the roadways, it will be ice very quickly. And that applies another thing, if you're using space heaters at home, the minimum rule about 50 is 3 feet away from anything if you're using space heaters, so take care out there, it's gonna be another snow day tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Don't have much, but I was able to attend Sancho's birthday party this weekend. And, it was really nice, I had friends from out of town, it's such a nice thing, it's so nice to have that.
Thank you. Ready?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one highlight in my life. As some of you might know, I coached basketball at Globe High School, and this season is a long season. It starts in November, 1st of November, and it ends if you make it to the playoffs, which we did. We made the state playoff run. We lost our first round, but it was a great game. The kids played well, and it's the first time the Globe High School boys varsity's been in the state playoffs in the last 5 years. So kudos to those kids.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I had the opportunity to stop in at the council's presentation they had this weekend. Talked to the assistant, I don't remember his name, I've got his card somewhere that I can find. And it was pretty interesting. There were people coming in, signing up, getting their paperwork done, and they were real pleased with it. And I hope we're able to keep that partnership going. He said next year. That seemed like a long, maybe 6 months would be nice. Every 6 months might be nice for a while. But anyways, it was enjoyable. It was interesting, and it was good to see people going in and taking care of business for themselves.
Jesse?
Thank you, Mayor. I had the pleasure of reading something positive that came to me from a constituent, and she recognized Officer Andy. He had stopped some kids playing in the streets and was able to stop, and he gave them a new football and baseball and shot around with them for a little bit. Positive. He kicked around. So if you could give them mention for that, thank you.
Well, thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a couple things. First of all, we have the 7th annual Wings of Hope coming up. Yes. This year we will be at the Gila County Fair March 20th. And the event will be an indoor-outdoor event that includes several things: a car show, all makes, models welcome, including truck and car, motorcycle, bicycle, telecar, and special interest. A raffle, you don't want to miss this because we always get the greatest raffle live experience. And then a concert that includes live bands with a soulful message of hope and a DJ playing tracks from back in the day. There'll be a variety of vendors from arts and crafts to the best of the food cravings around. And every single dollar we raise goes directly to a memorial scholarship fund to help future college students achieve their dreams of higher education. So please mark your calendars and come out. Secondly, we have the Dr. Seuss celebration at the library rail, and that's this Thursday, March 2nd. Come at any time from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 6 o'clock. There's going to be food, stories, games, and more. And thirdly, Glow Baseball, they started their season yesterday. It was supposed to be at home, but actually I got a phone call. I think at 2 in the afternoon, the game was at 4. They said it's in Fountainville. So we had to hike it over yesterday afternoon. But anyway, when they are home, and then I had something happen with my neighbor's house. They bought the house, I don't know, 2 months ago, and they're only there like once every 4 to 6 weeks because they're totally remodeling the house. And I happened to look over the fence and I saw water flowing. I'm like, oh boy, that doesn't look good. So I kept an eye on it for a bit, and then it kept flowing. So I went over there and looked at it. And water was actually pouring out of the wall. It wasn't just dripping, it was flowing. So I called Public Works and they took care of it immediately.
Mhm.
So thank you, John, for the whole team who took care of it. Excellent service as always. Thank you. That's all I have there.
Thank you, Mike. First, I want to talk a little bit, I want to recognize Jennifer probably here from the Arizona Economic Development Advisory Council. And that a rural policy forum is coming to Globe Miami, August 3rd or 4th. Exciting, it's been 10 years since it's been here last. There has a steering committee been formed to start planning, so we got lots of time to plan. You know, we got to make sure we have all the logistics, you know, hotels, food, restaurants, everything. So it's going to be exciting to get that off the ground. I know we have our first meeting next week, which would be great. So it's coming to Globe Miami again, August 3rd and 4th. Brings about 200 to 300 people to our community. And eating in our restaurant. Talk about the Citizens Academy. If you're interested, it starts March 8th, next Wednesday. Again, a 7-week course that you go through each department, learning about the structure, the process, and all about our department and our staff. So if you're interested, please come and sign up. Get a hold of either Lisa Fletcher or Shelley Salazar here at City Hall. Applications are here. Again, it's every Wednesday from 6 to 8. This Friday is First Friday. Come out and enjoy. It's supposed to warm up by then, so hopefully it'll be a little warmer than the next couple of days. And lastly, we've had some good news this afternoon. We've been waiting for a long time to hear about this good news, but I'm going to turn it over to Paul to talk a little bit about what we were made aware of, and it has to do with infrastructure money. So, Paul, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, this council is focused a lot on trying to regionalism and reaching out. We have hired a federal lobbyist. We have a grant writer. We're reaching out directly to our congressmen and senators, and this process is paying off. We got word just within the last couple hours, confirmation that some funds we had put in with Congressman Greg Stanton's office. He informed us that they're funding 3 projects for a grand total of $2.1 million. So that's really good. Though these are water, wastewater infrastructure projects. The 3 projects that we had put in, it was over probably 14 months ago. The water line, the new water line to replace the one that keeps breaking from ADOT to the fairgrounds, get that replaced. The citywide sewer study, which is key to figuring out what's where and what we have and building on that. So $600,000 for the water line to the fairground, $750,000 for the citywide sewer study, and then another $750,000 for tank repairs and various fixes that we need in the city. So grand total of 2.1. Very happy that we got this. We were a pleasant surprise, and to the hard work from staff and council for making this happen. And thank you specifically to Congressman Stanton's office. And we should get a chance to thank him directly. That's the second. So not to rain on the parade, but we were doing the sewer expansion out in Jess Hayes. And so they had to shut the water off to get the sewer line put in across the water line, and they went to turn it on and the valve broke and shear it off. And so they're still working on that now. So anybody who's watching going, yeah, but I don't have water right now, There are crews who are out there working, trying to replace that valve, so that it's stuck in the off position. So, so they're digging that up now and working on that. So, but I know them, they won't quit until they get the water turned back on. And so hopefully as soon as they can. And then the other thing, Citizens Academy, like say, if you get we'll take people up to the 8th to do that. It's always exciting to get residents and non-residents. You don't have to be a member of a resident of Globe. Anyone is welcome to come and participate. And we do have the food contest going on too. So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, that's all I have for you. Thank you.
We have the first community calls. Do we have anybody who can speak at this time? I have no cards for call to the public. I have one for item 5A, but not for call to the public. Nobody online?
I do have one text message. They were just wondering when the water was going to be turned on.
We will respond that we will text them when we know. I don't see anything in the email either, Mr. Mayor. And no one.
We started this reminder, some of the comments online. Make sure that when we're talking that we talk directly into the mic and our mics are on. I think mine was off last week for a little bit, but make sure we talk into them. And even our presenters, make sure when you're up here, make sure you're talking into the mic so people on YouTube can hear us also. Thank you. We'll go to special presentation and ceremonial matters. We have item 3A. Mayor Camaros will present the Globe Miami Regional Chamber of Commerce with a proclamation proclaiming the month of April Arizona Poppy Fest celebration of our poppy wildflower. And Chamber Director Angel Reese is here. I don't have it.
Kelly has a copy here.
Thank you. So proclamation, Arizona Poppy Fest, celebration of our poppy wildflowers. Whereas the city of Globe hereby annually designates the month of April as Arizona Poppy Fest. And whereas during the month of April, we recognize the economic contributions made by the celebrations of our blooming poppies and spring wildflowers. And whereas we remind our visitors and citizens that the poppy blooms are truly dependent on our winter weather, spring rains, and thus will bloom when they're ready. And whereas we recognize the importance of the responsibility to maintain the health of early poppy blooms. And whereas increased awareness, we can achieve our goal of celebrating and understanding the economic value that our poppies and wildflowers alike bring to our region. Then therefore be it resolved that I, Al Camaros, Mayor of the City of Globe, and the Globe City Council do hereby proclaim the month of April as Arizona Poppy Fest. Proclamation, 28th day of February, 2023. Is this the one we'll give to him right now? Or
No, I'll have one printed.
okay.
We'll get it to you, Angel. Thank you.
So we will present it to the Global Island Chamber of Commerce and Angels here. When we get with them. Thank you. Next, we have item B, presentation from FEMA regarding the remapping of the floodplain in Globe and throughout Gila County. We have Michael Bishop online.
I believe so.
Or is he here?
No,
No, they're appearing because of the weather and logistics. They're appearing online. Michael, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yeah, we hear you loud and clear. So, welcome to City Globe City Council meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, City Council, for letting us address you this evening to share with you this project that we've been working on since April of 2021. In fact, we represent the National Flood Insurance Program, and part of the National Flood Insurance Program is to maintain the hazard information, the flood hazard information that's expressed on the flood insurance rate maps. Back in April of 2021, we conducted what we call the discovery meeting, where we listened to the communities tell us where these maps needed improvement. So we listened to them, we captured all of the notes from the meetings and brought the notes back to the communities. And at that time, it was Mr. Paul Jepson and Mr. Jerry Barnes representing the city of Globe, and they verified that we captured the information that they shared with us correctly. And so from there, we embarked on by re-studies of the floodplains that pass through the city of Globe. as a part of a larger package, studying floodplains across Beaver County. And so what we wish to show and share with you tonight is what we've done so far, where we are, and then Eva will also share with you the remaining schedule and when you might anticipate being able to see some of the results from these studies. And all along the way, you absolutely can reach out to us and want to know that. The slide deck that you'll see is, we'll make a copy available to you. As a reminder, the discovery report that was produced was supplied to the city of Logue back when it was produced, and we can resupply that if we need that. But just in summary, real quick, 2017, we invested over $500,000 in the acquisition of LiDAR terrain data, 1 meter terrain data for the county of Gila. In 2020, we invested in the restudy of what are called Zone A's, special flood hazard areas, to upgrade those to produce models behind them and deliver those to the county. So for any that are intersecting with the city of Logue, you're welcome to those as well. They're not yet mapped, but they are available to you. Information is available for management. And then most recently in 2022, this was the biggest project that we've embarked on so far. We're investing $1.2 million in the update of all of the detailed studies in Gila County. And there are, on the flood insurance rate map, there is a zone called Zone D, which is, by definition, it says there is flood hazard here, but it's not studied. We're studying 24 areas within Gila County so that that information can be made available. And then, we're going to combine all of that with the study that we did, the Zone A, and then there'll be a map update process that comes later. So that is what we're doing and where we are right now. Details of which will be shared with some of my colleagues that are on the call as well, and I'll turn it over to them shortly. But we do want to make sure that you have say, and we do want to reach out. We do want to continue to partner with you in this endeavor. And we're also, as our #1 champion, is the floodplain administrator for the county of Gila, and that is Mr. Dar Dululai. So this is the team that is monitoring what we're doing, the speed at which we're doing it, and then of course the deliverables along the way that we touch on these. That you'll all be invited to. So at this point, let me go ahead and turn it over to Crystal. I believe you're the one that will be taking the first slides, is that correct?
Is that the city taking over the slides, you say?
Now, Crystal is one of my colleagues. You may have been needed. Crystal, go ahead and, yeah, I'll mute and you take it from here, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
So today we're going to be introducing the Gila County Floodplain Mapping Project. First I'd like to have introductions. So I think you just heard Michael Bishop from FEMA. I believe also on the line we have Joseph Johnson from FEMA. And also from START 2 we have myself, Crystal Pemberton, and Sarah Kalakavaya and Linda Potter. And this presentation is just, like Michael said, just kind of doing a project overview and kind of just that you're able to understand kind of what the project is and kind of what we will be studying. So the Gila County Floodplain Mapping Project is a risk map project. And there's different milestones along the risk map process. And so they're kind of divided into 2 phases. So the first phase are these first 4 milestones. So the project planning, discovery, data and product development, and risk awareness. And these are kind of the things that will be involved in the first phase. So we will be having a community kickoff meeting, collecting LiDAR data, and developing our hydrology and hydraulic analysis, creating the draft floodplain maps, and having a flood risk review meeting. This process is approximately 2 years. And then the second phase of our risk map process are these last 4. So the preliminary map release, planning for mitigation action, due process, and the flood insurance study and firm delivery. And so these kind of include, once we present our draft or our data, the draft floodplain mapping. This is when the communities will receive our data, they'll be able to review it, and then we'll go through the comments and the appeal period, and then we'll create the final products, and then ultimately the adoption. And so again, this phase is also roughly a 2-year process. So the entire risk map project is roughly about a 4-year plan. So for the, So for the Gila County floodplain project that we're presenting today, we will be doing the first phase. So we've had the community kickoff meeting back in January, and we're currently creating the LiDAR data, and we'll be starting our hydrology and hydraulic analysis later this year. So what is involved in the flood risk study? So we will be developing hydrology, and hydrology is the amount of water that is reaching our study streams. So to kind of think about it, we will develop a tributary area, tributary to our stream, and when a storm happens, the rain will, run off the ground and for that area, and will ultimately reach the streams. And so that's what we're analyzing. So we're developing how much flow will reach the streams that we're analyzing. That's what the hydrology is developing the amount of water that will reach these streams. In the hydraulics, we will be analyzing the streams using terrain data and the amount of flow that we developed in this phase to see if the streams will be able to convey all the flow, or if it might spill over into the overland flow. So that's kind of what we're doing here with terrain data. And the final part will be the floodplain mapping. The floodplain mapping analysis is developing the inundation limits from the results from our hydraulics, so communities will know the risk along our study streams. And now Sarah's going to go over the level of the FEMA study and the field analysis. Can you hear me okay? Thank
Yes.
you. So as Crystal mentioned, there are different types of studies, and actually Michael also mentioned what goes on the FEMA's flood insurance rate map. And there are 4 levels of studies. That currently what you have on your maps, which is the zone A mapping, is kind of think about it, 4 levels of telephones that we have, the lowest possible level. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that base level engineering, which is kind of like a flip phone, not the high phone yet, but and you can also have automated process, and we'll talk about what is that level of engineering and what it includes. And then the 3rd level is the limited detail studies, which includes additional analysis, whether the road crossings or other data is already put in there. And then the 4th level is the highest level, where you will have the detailed analysis, which includes the survey of the roads and the water crossings and any road features, and along with that also the actual channel survey itself. And with that, there is also additional information about the floodway will be provided with the 4th level. You can consider that as an iPhone. So I'm going to talk about, in this current study, we will be doing the 2 levels, the base level engineering, and then most probably the 3rd and the 4th level. And I'm going to give you more details about that base level engineering first. Can you go to the next one? So what is base level engineering? Base level engineering is an automated engineering analysis using the initial, the detailed LiDAR topographic data was based on that data. And it typically used or produced where there are a lot of current gaps on the flood insurance rate maps. And the main purpose of this is the data, all of the data that we're going to be talking about will be available for your use, and all of the city can use it to leverage it for all your, not only the building criteria in and around the floodplains that we will be producing,
but also can use it for other purposes for either planning, zoning, or for any mitigation grants that you may apply for. All of this, including any of the LOMAR, letter of map revisions that you plan on doing it, you can use this data. It will also actually allow FEMA to expand their coverage of the map models and the mapping, which we're going to talk a little bit about it. And one of the other benefits of this particular analysis is it's cost effective. So that means FEMA can do a lot more of these stream mileage compared to the other levels of the study. And the additional benefit is the level is ready for to incorporate on the future flood insurance rate maps. And FEMA already planning on doing that for these level analysis.
Mayor, do they want us to hold their questions, or do you have a question to the admin?
Go ahead.
I think you can ask him as we're going along that way. We have a question, right?
Sir, my question is regarding the LiDAR. So you said all that data will be coming from information that we could use. Would that be information that property owners could use? Because I know now we have to do like elevation certificates if they're going to prove that their property actually isn't in a flood zone. Sometimes the map will pick them up, but they're obviously not, but they still have to do an elevation certificate to prove that they are not. Would they be able to use this data without having to do that extra step of the elevation certificates?
This is Michael. I'm not sure they can eliminate the need for survey, but they absolutely can use the data. These data are public domain and they reside with DART at the county right now. And for the city of Globe, if you needed a local copy, we could arrange to have the cells that cover the city of Globe footprint, and we can have those delivered to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. So for the base level engineering, we within the whole county, we have 815 miles, and the map shows where it is. And when Crystal is going to talk about the detailed study areas, including to the city of Globe, where you will see all of the 3 miles where we are actually going to be analyzing this base level engineering. The main thing that I wanted to make sure that you are aware is, as part of this base level engineering, we are not going to include survey of the structures or the bridges and the culverts. However, we will be modeling them as though they will allow the flow to go through. And so we will be using the existing readily available data, but not actually the survey cross-section, survey bridges or the culverts. That's the main distinction between what Crystal is about to talk to you about, the detailed studies for this. The rest of the approaches, like hydrologic approach and hydraulic approach, are the same, similar, except the surveying of the that I will hand it out to Crystal.
Sarah just mentioned about the BLE, the base level engineering. As you can see on this, on the right side of this screen, on this image, in Gila County, the blue lines are the base level engineering study streams that we're planning. The red lines are the detailed study streams. So within Gila County, we're planning to update existing detailed studies for 82 miles of various streams within Gila County. And these new detailed analyses will also include floodways. We're going to be surveying about 153 structures throughout the county, and we're planning to use as-built plans for 23 ADOT structures that these streams cross. This is a more zoomed in picture of the city of Globe. So you can kind of see the streams that will be studied, the detailed and the BLE. In the city of Globe, we're going to be updating existing detailed studies for 16 miles in or near the city of Globe. And again, these studies will include floodways, the detailed one. Along these streams in this image, there's about 64 structures that will be surveyed and incorporated. And also, like on this image, just for reference, there is effective mapping, so you can kind of see the effective floodplains that are there currently. And then you can see the BLE studies that will be mapping new streams like on the outside, on the outskirts. This next phase, or this next screen is kind of just more of a zoomed in picture to kind of label the streams. So like on the west side of the city of Globe, we're going to be studying Bloody Tank Wash, Russell Wash, Water Tank Wash, and Roberts Wash. And then on the east side of the city, the detailed analysis, we're going to be studying the Pinal Creek, Icehouse Canyon, Agave Wash, and McMillan Wash. So at the end of the study, what will the communities receive? Hydrology and hydraulic analyses, and the terrain we use for analysis. They will also receive the floodplain mapping for the 100 and the 500-year storms. The updated FEMA firm maps will be completed in the next phase of the project. If you remember back in I think it was slide 2 or 3, we talked about the risk map process. The FEMA firm maps will be updated in the second phase. So the schedule for the Gila County project. We had the community project kickoff meeting in January. And the engineering notification letters, labeled here as the 620 letters, will soon be distributed and to the City of Globe, announcing the floodplain study work and the proposed modeling methods. The city will have an extended period of time to review those streams and our modeling approach. The field survey for Gila County is planned to occur between February and August of this year. And our hydrology, hydraulics, and floodplain mapping analysis will occur between August of this year through February of 2025. And our final data submittal for this first phase will be February of 2025. So again, this is about a 2-year project just for this first phase. And this last slide is just kind of giving a list of contacts for this project. So for FEMA, we have Joseph Johnson, Michael Bishop, and Patrick Clancy. And from the state, we have Mike Shelton and Brian Clausen. And Gila County is Dar Delulac. And the City of Globe is Luis Flores Chavez and Jerry Barnes. And from STAR, you have myself, Crystal Pemberton, Linda Potter, and Sarah Calabria. And this concludes our presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions or comments?
I just have one more question. That's regarding the 90-day appeal. So if somebody wants to appeal how their property shows up on the floodplain maps, will that be their burden to prove that, or would they be able to use your data and have you re-look at that yourself to determine if that is accurate?
That's a good question, and I'll go ahead and take this one. The appeal period will be in that phase 2 section, first of all, and so it's plenty ways out. Prior to that, there'll be a release of the results of the analysis in something we call a flood risk review meeting, and that's prior to the official appeal period. And that would be the first time that somebody could take a look at and agree with and or disagree with what they're seeing. And comments are welcome at that point as well, even prior to getting to the official appeal period. And then the last thing that I would mention is that there are many touch point meetings along the way. And what we want to do is bring you along with us so that nothing is a surprise to you 18 months, 20 months, 24 months from now, or 36 months from now. We want to show you every step of the way what we're doing, what it looks like when the models are run, and give you opportunities to comment at that time. What we typically do is share this information with City Council and the mayor and the city engineer for the purpose of keeping the conversation small and pointed between FEMA and the representatives of the community. And then it's the official appeal period where it's actually released to the public. So the responsibilities in doing it are on us to make sure that everything that we're doing is technically credible and is the best that we can make in terms of updating this information. So it's not an exact answer that I would want to receive if I had asked it. But I do want you to know that we will coordinate with you every step of the way, and if you see anything that you think might cause alarm that you want us to look at more closely, and if we can adjust things within engineering space, we can have that conversation at that time and do the best we can to produce the best results. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it back. Thank you. It was a good question. There's a lot of time and a lot of touch point meetings that we can use to discuss what we can see and when we can see it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mariano?
Michael, this is Mariano Gonzalez, District 5. As you achieve your timelines or your milestones on your timelines, please inform as best you can through press releases, messages to the public about progress made. It's very important for us to be able to point those kinds of updates and releases as you go through your timeline, so we can encourage people to look at the data or your progress. You're right, when it's 2 years later and suddenly this ton of information arrives, I'd rather that we can be able to say as a council, well, we told you back in 23 that this was the beginning, and here's the press release advising the public. I hope you are very aware of that, because people here, having just been through a major fire and flood, are very interested in the redevelopment of this map. So please make it a point to be very informative to the public as you go through this process.
Absolutely, it'll be our pleasure to keep you informed. We have similar requests from the County Board of Supervisors, and we're coordinating delivery of regular information to them, especially at the milestone meetings that were displayed earlier. That's scheduled. So we'll stay very close with you. And then we'll make sure that letters like the 620 letter that was described, those announce the upcoming events that folks might want to connect to and take a quick look at results at that time. So yes, I hear you, and it's our intention to keep you informed every step of the way. In fact, from our perspective, partnership with you is the best working environment that we can do this work in. And so if we can keep you informed, give you an opportunity to comment on things along the way, and we can respond to those comments, I think it's going to produce the best results in the end. So that's our promise. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, this has been a long time coming, this floodplain study. When I was back to the Board of Supervisors, I remember us discussing it with FEMA and everything. So, it's good to see that we're getting a plan. And like all things, it does take a while, but it's good to see that it's finally being done, and I think it'll be benefit to this community.
If I may, I have one more comment. In speaking with Dard, he was nervous about asking for everything because he thought that such a big price ticket would deter us moving forward. And I said, Dard, I think this is the perfect opportunity to ask for everything because so much is in need of updated flood hazard information. Let's ask for it all, and let's have people tell us what they can't do as opposed to asking for less and not knowing that we asked for enough. So that's my last comment. Thank you so much.
Questions? Michael, thank you very much. Thank you all the staff and team also for your presentation. We really appreciate it. I know a lot of our, just like Mike said, a lot of our business people and residents are really looking forward to, the final results. I know it's 4 years down the road, but at least the process has started.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, Michael, just real quick, if somebody's doing a project on the old maps and then the new maps kick in, are they grandfathered in, or do they have to adjust on the new maps?
That's a great question for floodplain management staff, and I don't have any of them on the call. Can I circle back with you and give you the best answer and set it and make it file for you?
Okay, because that's part of the, like I said, we have a lot of activity, and we want to make sure somebody doesn't put a lot of effort trying to line up with the old maps, and then, so we can, thank you, we'll talk offline then. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. And I've captured the comment about use of LiDAR, and I'll capture this comment as well, and I promise to follow back on those points for you all.
Thank you. Okay.
So next we'll go to consent calendar. Matters listed under the consent calendar considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion, one vote. Public hearing items are designated with an asterisk. Prior to consideration of the consent agenda, the mayor will ask whether any member of the public wishes to remove a public hearing item for separate consideration. Members of the council and or staff may remove any item for separate consideration also. Item A, consideration of waiver of section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule to allow action on the balance of the consent agenda. We have accounts payable, $311,123.02. And that's all we have on our consent calendar.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, with no other comments or questions, I motion that we approve the consent agenda as written.
Second.
Motion second for approval of consent agenda as read. Is there any further discussion? Favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. We have new business. 5A, Local First will present for possible council approval the City of Globe Brand Development Project. We have Jenna Rao, Victoria Choa, and Melissa Steele here, and Linda for presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're so excited to present, hopefully for approval, our brand new Globe brand. We were very fortunate to work with Jenna and Victoria from Local First. We were part of the rural co-op, the marketing co-op through the Arizona Office of Tourism, and it was a wonderful process that we engaged the community with. And I'm going to turn that over to Melissa because she's really taken this on and spearheaded it and done an amazing job. Melissa, and she's our economic development manager, of course.
Hi, Mayor and Council. Nice to see you guys today. I am so excited to have Local First here to present this brand. We had a really good brand to begin with. Arizona Chili Core, everyone has seen it, but it didn't feel quite authentic to Globe. And we really wanted something that screamed authentic to Globe. It had our community at mind, our area, and really just made us stand out on the map. So we had the Arizona Office of Tourism. We decided to reach out to Local First and bring them on and let them know we want to change things up. We want to mix things up and make it a little bit more just Globe. We want it to be Globe, not so Arizona. So we did that. We had a community convening. We have a bunch of people in the audience today who were there. We reached out by radio, Facebook, and the newspaper to get people to come, and I'll let them take it from there because they really took control of getting input from the community and then taking it and turning it into this beautiful brand that I hope you guys love as much as I do. I should have introduced Jen.
Mayor, Council, my name is Jenna Rao with Local First Arizona. And you might be wondering who's Local First Arizona and what do they have to do with our city's brand? Local First Arizona is the federally designated Rural Development Council for the state of Arizona, which includes a big focus on economic and community development. In Arizona, certainly in rural, that includes how tourism can be a vibrant and viable part of local rural economies. So Arizona Office of Tourism has a program called the Rural Marketing Cooperative. They vet and select vendors who can offer services to rural communities through that cooperative. Local First Arizona is one of those. And many rural communities over the years have told us we want to brand. We feel we're ready for a brand and we want to use it in our marketing of our destination for visitors as tourism, but also as a sense of place and community identity. But they were finding it was very expensive to go out to a full-fledged agency, for example, out of a big market, could be $20,000 plus. So Local First Arizona, being a champion of entrepreneurs and local small business, we have a group of talented designers, independents, locals, who we line up to take on these projects at a much more affordable price point. So we were thrilled when through the Globe Miami Chamber, City of Globe, came to us and they had selected our offering out of the Rural Marketing Co-op to work with the community on a new brand. So I just want to talk a little bit about how that works. As we publish a specific scope of work that the city purchased, and that includes one community convening that we come in and facilitate. And I really want to give your community and your team big kudos because it was in December, which can be a tough time. People are thinking about holidays and year end. And you had fantastic community engagement. I want to thank the people who are here tonight who gave up their personal time to come and give input. They were engaged, they were creative, and the love and pride in the community were evident. So what our challenge became was it was so much good input, we have to distill all of that into what we call a short creative brief that we then give a graphic designer. The graphic designer looks to photography and things about the area for inspiration on top of the words that we put together that came out of the community convening. So that's our effort to get public input into the process and use local inspiration to guide the design that you are going to see here tonight. And our other goal is to give you a flexible, multi-component brand that you can use in a variety of formats because we all know today more and more is digital. You've got social media you're managing. So you'll see more than just one image, if you will. It's a variety of like a suite of brand elements that work together. And with that, I'll ask my colleague Victoria.
Hi, Mayor and Council, and everybody joining us here today. Thanks so much. I'm Victoria, the Rural Program Manager with Local First. Want to cover a little bit about what you're going to see and a little bit more of the process. We'll be sharing with you, like Jenna mentioned, what that brand design looks like, the different versions of that. And we also really want to share what from the community convening we then included in the creative brief to then share with the designer, how the designer brought in those elements to create what you're going to be seeing here today. Yeah. And then by the end of that, we'll cover just a little bit more of what you get in this package, which includes that brand stand and tagline. And I'll go over a little bit more of those details of what that will look like. Sorry. So we start here with the mood board, the brand inspiration, what the designer heard. These are some of the pieces that we included in the creative brief directly from what we heard in that community convening. One phrase that really stood out was that peaceful, easy feeling. A lot of folks talked about how Globe feels like home. Whenever you're coming in, they get that sentiment of being home. And so you see that they're around Arizona's original hometown. You see that around the Pinal Mountains, right? That how representative that is of Globe. And a big piece here is the historic charm, right? Globe is Arizona's original hometown, so we know that a lot of the history of Globe is what matters here, and is what makes Globe feel like Globe to a lot of folks here. A lot of things we heard in the convening as well were colors. We really are mindful of how a brand looks, right? Looks and feels. And so sunrise and sunset colors were some of the big themes that we heard. And so you see a little bit of that here in this inspiration. So this is just what the designer was looking at and thinking of as she prepared the actual design. So for the big reveal, this is the logo, the primary logo that the designer created. So as you can see, the oranges and the blues pulling in from those images from the sunrise and sunset colors. We wanted to include the year there to really bring in the historic charm. Honestly, the type font as well is something that we heard a little bit as far as the historic charm, it being both timeless, where it has like a sleek and modern feel to it, but is still calling in that historic charm that we heard a lot about during that convening. And we're hearing that as more and more folks are seeing this logo, we're seeing some additional pieces there as far as all roads lead to Globe is what we've heard a little bit there. And so some of those rays of sunlight, it seemed like roads as well. So it seems like a lot of different pieces as far as the community convening, what we're hearing from staff, all of those pieces were implemented. And I really want to highlight that during that community convening, we had folks that represented the business community, folks from multiple bed tax organizations. We had new residents, folks that have not lived here for over a year, and also generational residents, folks that have called Globe their home for generations. So what you're seeing represented up here is the eventual result actually of all of that input that the designer has now created into an absolute stunning visual. I'll share a little bit more as far as the brand design goes. So that first image you saw there was the primary logo, so that includes all of the elements. And then besides that are the vertical stacked logo, the horizontal logo, and the icon. That primary logo we would recommend using that for sponsored events whenever you're using signage, advertising anything, for any official marketing events. So a Visit Globe website, any brochures at visitor centers, anything that's attracting tourism. The stacked and the horizontal logo are a little bit more for when you have more flexibility, when you can't really include the entire piece, but you want to highlight some of the biggest elements of it. So this is just when you need something a little bit more clear, something smaller, or you can't use the complete image. The icon here is primarily for social media envelope stickers, something where you definitely do not have the space for the full primary logo, but that still calls on, like the G, for example, that we're hearing is something that folks really think of right when they see Globe as well. One here that, as Jenna mentioned, a lot of this is towards tourism, economic development, community development. So what this brand is for promotional and marketing purposes. It's the visual identity for city programs, for sponsorships, for any partnerships. Thinking about Rural Policy Forum, for example, would be a great opportunity to highlight this brand. But the brand is not the city seal. We're certainly not replacing that. The seal will still be used to certify official documentation, official records, but this brand is particularly for promotional and marketing purposes.
Does this belong to somebody? So if a business wanted to use that logo on a shirt and sell them out of their gift shop?
So the logo will be owned by the city. So the city will get to manage the usage of the logo and will be able to work with the Chamber of Commerce, with business associations. The city itself and the economic development team in particular will get to manage that process. A little bit more about how to actually use this brand. We're going to share with you a brand standards guideline once a logo is approved, and that will just share the exact font that is used, the colors, everything you need to know about this brand to make sure that you can maintain that consistency in any other promotional and marketing attractions that you use. So this is just, what you saw here is the step number 1, and then the brand standards guideline allows you to keep activating that brand and keep using it in different ways as well. So what that guidelines will include, as I mentioned, is all of the logo files. So that primary logo, the vertical, the horizontal, the icon, all of those will be included, the font, the typography, the color palette, any recommendations for how to use this. We know that brands sometimes, it can be difficult and tricky to see how exactly can we put this to work. And so it'll include some recommendations of when to use which version. And then we know that not everything is full color all the time, so we'll also include the grayscale logo as well. So an all black version and an all white version. And we know that when you're spending money on a brand, you want to make sure you actually use it. So we wanted to provide just a couple of examples of brand activation. You can see one of them at work today as we're all wearing our shirts. And just some additional ways of utilizing that is on hats, on those envelopes that we talked about, banners, stickers, all opportunities to put that brand to use and to really highlight what is Globe to the residents here, because again, this logo really symbolizes and represents the input that we heard at that meeting in December. Obviously, an informal decision was taken to share this with you all already, but the next steps would be a council vote. And once we've gotten a vote from council, and if you choose to approve this brand logo, we'll then be able to share with you that brand standards guideline with all of the additional details that come from this brand in particular. So that covers our presentation. I want to make sure we open it up to any other questions you may have. And Jenna, if there's anything you'd like to add.
I just wanted to add, in your brand standards guide, to your question, Councilman Shipley, we encourage that local first. Of course, it's the city's choice, but a best practice would be to have enough flexibility to allow your businesses, allow key events that happen in your community to use the brand. It helps you, it gains visibility. What you want to do is just be sure it adheres to these guidelines so it doesn't show up in totally different wild colors, and you don't give people what we call the native files where they can be changing it up and calling it your brand. But we can provide, along with the brand standards guide, some tips and best practices. You can have licensing agreements if you want something more formal or a less formal, but some kind of process where businesses can ask to use it. But that way it's inclusive, everybody feels they can own it and use it, and we find that works really well. And it's great for your tourism marketing as well, because anywhere those businesses are online or out in other communities talking at Globe, that's a good thing.
Any other comments or questions for Danielle?
Very well done. Very well, thank you.
I'm gonna pass this to Councilman Gonzalez. This is something Melissa put together in just a few minutes and utilize the creative brief. And so this is an example of how we can roll out some new trifolds, and we can do it as early as Friday. And we got the guy in Tanner.
Just a question on the old brand, is that still available, or is it the new brand now, or how does that work?
So our intention is to move forward with the new brand. We've gone through this process, our past brand, it was a good foundation for us to start this new process. But as Melissa said, it kind of got lost in the Arizona-ness. And so now this is something that really is truly authentic to Globe, going back to the G icon, something that really came up again and again in our community facilitation was G Hill. And so that just really is reminiscent of G Hill. And, the font itself does kind of allude to the font that was used in the past and the font that is on the trestle on North Broad. So it kind of has that historic feel. And what we like to say, it really, I think, looks like our community past, present, and future. Timeless and classic design that we really anticipate doing well with and keeping around for quite a while. And again, other corporate, if you look at branding and how corporations do it, there are refreshes done every so often. You don't want to become background noise. So yes, we'll probably go through a refresh, not having to start from scratch most likely, but a few years down the line, at least 5.
Yeah, I'd like to compliment all of you and the process actually, and all the people that participated, or the resident business people. I know as part of this last one, and then, we wanted so many things on that brand, and it came out, and you look at it is real busy. There's a lot of color and a lot of things on it. This kind of simplifies what we really, what our community really stands for. So I really appreciate the process, and thank you for all the work doing it. It looks great on the pamphlet, it looks great on t-shirts. Something that we'll be proud of.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you
It'd be
very
nice to
much.
get you got Friday.
Just a little punchy. It's good to go. It's really good.
I do have a request to speak card from Mr. Tim Trent on this item also. I'd like to invite him.
Stand here.
Come to the microphone, thank you.
Council members, Mayor Villar, Mayor Romero, and all the city staff. I only said that because I want the city staff to get off the phone, but you just. And I was part of this process in December, and thank all of you for everything. I kind of wanted to say, I have words I want to say, and it really has to do with when you move through a process of something, and how it's important that, well, I'll just say it. I use the word inclusionary, buy-in, transparency, sustainability, right? Your evaluate enrollment and accountability. And what gets around this project is excitement. How much time do I have? I'm not going to talk. Say the logo.
Just talk in the mic so that everybody can
The logo that was up there, at least it doesn't have Yosemite Sam, because someone suggested that. I think what I understood is that we would come back and maybe we would have a time to look at what was presented and talk about it more. That's all the reason I'm just listing these words, because if you take this long to plan and prepare and study it and analyze it, it takes this long to implement, and that you get more buy-in. That's all I'm saying. So, and I know all these ladies put a lot of time in, and I'm not trying to be critical up here. I'm throwing out words, okay? Because I was glad to be a part of the process. My wife was part of the process. We had There were about 20 other people. It was nice. So that's really all I wanted to say with that. As you consider your vote, have you studied it enough? Is there enough people involved? Because it's one of those things when you do your strategic planning, you want to make sure there's something in everybody's office. And if you walk up to somebody and say, hey, what's our goal? They know what the goal is, right? So anyway, that's all. Not to be critical. You guys did awesome.
Thank you, Jim.
Don't tell Chris I made fun of Yosemite Sam.
Comments from the committee, staff? Anybody else? Any comments?
Can I just have a quick question? Based on what you said, Tim, are you thinking that maybe you would like to see the top three and then evolve into like this?
Thanks for the question. I think
No, if you're gonna have a dialogue, we need.
I think kind of what I'm meaning by it is when we say we're gonna do certain things, you bring people together and you say you're gonna come back and you're gonna share it and you're gonna study it, whether, no matter what phase it's in. It could be in its infancy, it could be the final product, but you give those people a chance to look at it at least, because otherwise, why do you want to sit on a committee for the city or anywhere if you never really get to see it? That's where I think, and going forward, what you do is you set what I call milestones or benchmarks, or you say this is what we're going to achieve by this time. And I'm not saying, and they probably internally had that going, but the committee never saw anything, you know, and unless I missed a memo or an email that got sent, I apologize, but if I'm speaking out of turn, but I think that's important. It's just that you get back with the people that were involved, and it doesn't mean that, I mean, I think what you have is very nice. I mean, it's gonna work out well, and it's just, that's why I'm trying not to be critical, because, you know, I've been here 18 years now. I came here for 3, okay, on a job, honestly. Mr. Pastor hired me and I got stuck here, just joking. But the reality is, I see all the good things going on in the city, like the equipment, the police cars, fire equipment, the new trucks I mean, all this stuff, roads, concrete repair, all these nice things, the variety, it's great. All these things are great. But I'm just saying, in my world, if you say you're going to follow up with the people that were on the original committee so they feel validated or buy-in and that they were valued, okay? And I'm not saying that maybe I missed the memo. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, that's what I mean by it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
The comment I want to make is, there's been a lot of other entities throwing stones at the city of Lowell lately. At this level, we see that. But then we get to a moment in time here where we see a positive note of our staff working with contractors to put something positive. Makes it easier when we see this positivity. And yes, we should be communicating with that committee. And I missed that meeting. I couldn't make it that meeting. I was really wondering how it turned out. Obviously, you all have been working hard on it. I want to congratulate you on that. Because it cheers me up when we have to face battle with certain entities. We know what we're doing, where we're headed, and in spite of some of those attacks, we're going to move forward. And I really thank you for doing the groundwork, laying the groundwork for this project. Thank you very much.
Any comments? Yes, sir.
Sorry, I wasn't sure of protocol. We had to be asked a question directly. No, I want to thank you very much for the input. I did just want to clarify, our scope of work at Local First is one community convening, and that's what we facilitated. There was some discussion that evening, even after, in a more informal way, even after the group to kind of finish the convening, on people being interested and engaged and asking, you know, when will we get to see this next? So I just want to express that's very true, that interest was there. What gets difficult, and I just wanted to share its Local First perspective, I'm not speaking on behalf of City of Globe, but what does get difficult is technically no committee gets officially formed, and we're very careful about that because otherwise decision-making has really bogged down in the past to say, well, whose authority is it, right, to make the ultimate decision? So it was a convening of the public one time as far as our involvement goes, but each community can of course decide from there what steps and process they take. There are pluses and minuses, I will just say, on how you go about it, because this is a subjective thing to some degree, right? You can show two people 5 designs, 3 designs, 2, they might love them all, hate them all. And I just wanted to share, there's a nearby community, I won't name them, but in the spirit of trying to do good and trying to do public input, we are also learning about what's the right balance. Meaning, is one time not enough? That's very valuable feedback that perhaps it is not, and that our scope needs to include more involvement. But that community went too far down a path, and we stretched a bit and have had something like 3 to 4 convenings, and they're still without any brand. They cannot get to consensus, and they don't really know what their decision-making path is. So I just want to say we are constantly open to feedback and continuous improvement, and I cannot tell you how much I valued the public comment tonight from somebody who gave their personal time to come, because if they feel like they weren't included or consulted enough, that's valid, and I don't want to imply anything other than that. I just wanted to share with you that we'll take that under advisement for how we scope this in the future, but so that everybody's clear, what City of Globe purchased from us was the one convening that we facilitated, and that was satisfied. So I just want to be clear that you know how the scope is delivered. Anything you want to add?
Tim, I just want to thank you and Daisy for your time, and all those that are in the audience that did attend that original meeting. And as Jen said, our one-time meeting was what was described in the scopes. You know, we could have had multiple meetings, but of course with that comes an increased cost, and that's why we participate in the rural marketing co-op. Basically, it's a buy one, get one free marketing opportunity, so that rural communities like us, we can be competitive in that tourism market. And so I think that we really used our resources in a really smart way, and we have very high quality talent to work with Victoria and of course Jenna and our artists. And so the final product that you're seeing tonight is really, I think, inclusive of all of the comments that we did receive. And like Jenna said, we could go down this path forever, and we probably will never come to a consensus. And when we went through this process 5-6 years ago, when Mayor Gameros pulled together a marketing committee, and really we were operating more as a committee, and we really didn't have that decision-making path well defined. First of all, we don't have a brand to market, and so then we had to take those 10 steps back. And so what we have now, we built upon what we've learned in the past, and we've brought together our community, and with this new feedback, as we move forward in future refreshes, I think we can learn from again this circumstance, this convening, and do a better job, because absolutely buy-in and community support is absolutely needed, because that's who we're doing this for, is for our community. And we want our businesses, we want all of our organizations, our bed tax organizations, to really utilize this tool. Otherwise, this process was really not a productive one. We want it to be productive and pay dividends for all of us, our businesses and our community. So thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I reiterate what they're sharing. I've seen processes that have gone long, where everything's crisp and clean, and sometimes it gets muddled. I would let your eyes judge the value of this process. It may not have been a perfect process, but I think the results are very, very strong. And I think you're seeing that. And it won't be here forever. We'll come back and look at this again. But for right now, I think given the criteria, the scope, the goal, and the speed it went this well, that this went through, I think you have a good project. Sometimes when you put all that brainstorming together, and then the artist sits down and comes out, and that first blush of what they're hearing is sometimes the strongest. I think that's what you have now.
Yeah, I have one more comment there. Like I said, I'll stick with my compliment on the process. I think going through the first branding process, we had so much that we wanted to put out there. And we didn't do, this city didn't do any social media. We didn't do any marketing. We didn't do anything to promote our city as far as tourism. And I know that since then, our economic development department has done that. And they know or have understand or have the knowledge of what people want to see out there. And I guess with all the information that they received in that initial meeting, I wasn't there, that they were able to put it all together and have a designer complement what really social media is about. You know, and I think if you look at this last brand, our little brand, it's way too much for what social media wants to see now. And I think this is kind of simple, but it tells a story, I think, of our community. So, and I appreciate your comments, you bet, but I can understand both sides. But I really appreciate the process, and hopefully we'll all be supportive of this brand. Thank you. Freddie?
Yeah, I'd like to just make my comment. I've been on the council from the first branding, and the first conversations that we've had about branding, how we're going to do it, who we go talk to about it. We did some, we started our economic development department, which was all of one person, and then we've expanded, and we're growing. And I think this is part of the growing pains, where we have learned from the first branding, we've experienced from the first branding, and now we're moving on to another step or another level. And if that other level brings in the community for comments, great. That's inclusive in the growing. And with that, we hear some of the comments, whether they're, there's heartburn or not, or it's an absolute buy-in. That's part of the growing process. And so this is not a negative. I don't think this is an absolute positive step moving forward for this community and this region. And I applaud everybody, citizens and staff and professionals alike that came together to create this brand. And I gotta believe in maybe another few more years down the road, we're gonna be talking about this again. And so I can appreciate everybody's comments and everybody's input sincerely, because if you didn't care, you wouldn't step up to the plate. You wouldn't be in those meetings. You wouldn't be in a community. You just wouldn't offer that. So this is you. This is your input, and I'm certain that our staff and our local First Arizona have taken all those comments into consideration, and this is the end product. It's not the end product. It's the next step. Okay, we won't call it an end. It's the next step. So I applaud all of you and for all your efforts. But I truly think that this was a great product coming forward. So thank you, all of you, for your efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this point, I'll entertain a motion for moving this forward to the next meeting.
Motion, no way.
Second.
We have a motion in the second to move forward to the next meeting. Is there any further discussion?
I think they're discussing whether they'd like to.
What was the, do we request some staff to waive the rule and so we can move forward with this? I think we're ready to go. So the request is, since this is an ongoing process, that we waive the rule and move forward with the vote.
I don't see reason to run that amendment. I don't see the reason to Wait, why we need to rush it?
Okay, so you want to, it's council's choice whether you want to approve this now or bring it back in 2 weeks and approve.
Speak this to this point.
Mayor and council, so we have through AOT for this year, we made a big purchase, as you guys all know, in several different marketing endeavors, and they are all hinging on this one grant. So to move forward with anything else, we have to approve or not approve if we can step back.
So we've made media purchases through different channels, and so having our product ready to roll out, that's actually just perfect timing as we are entering our spring tourism season. So actually 2 weeks will really help us move forward with our marketing plan.
We're gonna have cameramen here shortly, and we'd like to have the asset book
Thank you.
in hand to be able to
But with that,
hand it.
we'll motion to waive the rules.
Second. We have motion and second for approval of the new City Glow brand, waiving the rules. Is there any further discussion? In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you. Thank you. Item 5E, Glow Miami Regional Chamber of Commerce update presentation and request to approve bed tax distribution for the second quarter of fiscal year 2022-2023 in the amount of $12,878.51 from account number 10-51-51900, General Fund Community Organization Glow Miami Regional Chamber of Commerce, and request to waive section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule. Mayor Angel, present it.
And if you can just give a brief overview of the happenings at the chamber and how the money benefited you and just things going on. Council's very curious on your activities and how this went forward. So whatever you feel comfortable to share.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. So you want to know about the events that we were gonna have or the past? I'm not sure.
No, in the past, just a little bit about how this money benefited you, and what you use it for, and then what you have looking forward. So just a snapshot.
Okay, so we are, of course, the visitor center. We focus on tourism. So of course we use a lot of our money for marketing. We have the events that we have, yearly. For example, the AZ Coffee Fest that's coming up. I brought a little sample for everybody. We use monies to make flyers. We have our brochures and our chamber for visitors. Of course, when we do get visitors, we direct them to our attractions in town, museum, downtown area, restaurants, our hotels. We do get hundreds of visitors a month, so that's bringing people into our local attractions in town, trying to get them to spend money. Let's see, our camaraderie, our annual dinner, our Apache G. Next year, 2024, we're hoping to bring back home tour.
Do workshop at the chamber.
Oh yeah, we just had a workshop this week, in fact, yesterday, maybe it's right, for Miles Media. It's kind of like, it's the same, the rural marketing program. Ours was Miles Media. They came in and helped us teach our members how to Google. Google is the new Facebook. So we're teaching our members how to put their businesses on Google, their hours, their address. A lot of people are not on Google. So when people do come into town and they Google a restaurant or a hotel, they'll pop up. So we're teaching them how to do that right now. let me think, what else do we have going on?
And Mr. Mayor, to the council, I know you host a lot of special events and when dignitaries come to town. The chamber's been there to offer your meeting space and
Yes, we
be.
do use our conference room a lot.
Yeah.
This Friday, as a matter of fact, I think you're invited to, Mayor, Senator Cinema will be there. So we're hosting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do use our room a lot. We're gonna use it for the rural policy, what, next week? Yeah, the forum next week. That'll be in our chamber room.
Yeah. Anything you're excited about for the future? You looking forward to
Yeah,
it?
oh, all our events. I do this, in fact, March 25th, just so you know, if anyone's interested, we're having a golf tournament. So if you guys want to get a team together, we're excited about that right now. But I just want to say I do appreciate and depend on the city of Globe. The chamber does appreciate all your help and thank you.
Serving as a liaison, reiterate to this regard that we're put together that was amazing.
Yeah.
And just today, I got a compliment today. Somebody she kept looking at me.
Oh, really? And we're going to be working on a new one too here.
Her liaison for the city of Globe, so she was very pleased with that.
Oh, good, good.
I'm glad to hear that you guys are considering the home tour again, because that was a big event for us. I know a lot of work for the chamber also, and the community really, but that'd be an amazing event to bring back.
Yeah, we get a lot of
People,
questions on that, yeah.
And trying to balance it between the Renaissance before or after.
I know,
is difficult.
yes, that is very true.
That's been challenging. And then one other question on the billboard, were you guys successful on that grant?
No, we were not successful on the grant that we applied for. We're still working on that. Thea Wilshire and Cody Galcian from St. Carlos, they were actually gonna help us work on a few grants. So we're still in the process of getting that fixed too, so.
Well, that'd be nice, yeah, it sure was advantageous to have that, especially during a fire flood and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Questions or comments?
I just think the chambers are doing it, so thank you for allowing me to go through for the rodeo people and all the people that need a place to meet so they can get off and do stuff done.
Yeah, we're a good location. We're
Yeah,
right.
it makes a big difference.
Yeah, of course.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. There's no other questions or comments. I motion to waive the current discussion rule for the second quarter of 2022 red text distribution in the amount of $12,878.51 to the Globe Miami Regional Chamber of Commerce.
Second.
We have motion and second for approval of item 5B. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any opposed, abstaining. Motion passes. 5C, Cocoa Valley Center for the Arts Update Presentation, request to approve bed tax distribution for the second quarter for fiscal year 2022-2023 in the amount of $11,447.66 to the Cocoa Valley Center for the Arts to be paid from account number 10-51-51920 General Fund Cocoa Valley Center for the Arts. Request to waive section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule. We have Tanner. Thank you, yeah.
It's easy.
It's,
Good evening, Mayor and Council, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tanner Hunsaker. I am the president for the Cocoa Valley Center for the Arts. Here this evening to let you know what I guess we've been busy doing for the disbursement of quarter two. So quarter two being October to December, correct? Is that what we're speaking about? So that's a busy time. We have monthly art showings. In October, so every month there's an art showing, so that'd be October and November. In December, we did our annual Festival of the Trees, which draws in a load of folks. Through Halloween and that time, party with the Downtown Association and hand out candy like everyone else. We're right on the corner in the middle of First Friday, which is also a very busy time. I know that, speaking of numbers, over that specific quarter, the front desk saw over 2,300 visitors. The kind of the highlights, I think, are that they recently repainted and refreshed the galleries. They also repainted and refreshed the quilters room. So the Center for the Arts is a very multifaceted group of people with different art co-ops that really pour themselves into what they show there. And we're always trying to encourage more. And so that's part of the drive at the moment, is to find and discover new ways to bring in more. It seems in the past, this nonprofit has been going along at almost 40 years. And myself, I've only been more closely involved with it maybe in the last 5 to 6, I think. And my personal observation is that the decline of artists, just by moving away, maybe finding whatever's the new interest. So it's trying to really rekindle and re-encourage the locals that we have here, and to create new relationships with more artists and folks who have an interest in teaching. You may know that we have the Music Academy, who is a tenant on the first floor, and the Naughty Fox, and they are great partners. We're also working for refreshing the Oak Room, which is on the southeast corner of the building, for the purpose of art instructors. Trying to make available these spaces so that folks can come, feel welcome, and make a great space to try and encourage, hopefully, more folks who want to show. And so that's, in a nutshell, I think that's the kind of the direction we've been taking.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, Tanner, you keep really good hours and a lot of visitors. I mean, you're open to the public.
So, sure.
You have staff.
The only center in the historic district that's open 7 days a week. And we work really hard to keep that. There's a lot of reasons to draw back 1 or 2 days a week, but we work really, really hard to keep. I personally think that it's there. The doors can always be open. If we can maintain that, that'd be great, because there's a bunch of folks who come in, and because it's the only door that's unlocked, they want to ask where the place is, where can I eat, what's open today, not the chain, but the front desk does serve as maybe a point of contact while they're closed. So it works out. It gives those folks an opportunity to maybe get a glimpse of what is available, or what type of. So yes, we can keep doing it. And I think that the bed tax funds help largely with that. Also working with folks like Via Wheelchair and any other avenue that we can get our hands on to because none of us on the board grant. We need the tools to seek these grants, bring in the dollars to keep boosting. So I think that's a good.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, the Rotary partnered with Center for the Arts. They hosted our Old Dominion, or the Dominion Royale event last Saturday night, and I was there, and the building's in beautiful shape. I mean, it's as crisp and clean as I've ever seen it. Yeah, everything, working well, and thank you for that partnership.
Yeah, no, I mean, like a low road.
Yeah.
And everyone who participates.
I think everybody had fun.
Yeah, we always do work volunteers and it's precious donation dollars. Yeah. So, encouraging.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, Ken, council knows that I'm the council appointed, or mayor appointed liaison for the Center for the Arts. I know I've been seeing some of the meetings with past because I spread myself out so thin, and I can't be in 2 places at one time or 3 places at one time, but I apologize for that. It's no excuse. But I will say that in my time as appointed board member, seeing how the Center for the Arts so dearly cherishes the artistic nature of that building and the renovations that have to be made to keep it looking like it does, or even modernizing it like the windows. That was a big expense, and I know it was something that you've been mulling over as a group for quite some time. Just finding the right fix, the right cost, the right price. But I will say that, that the board is truly engaged in moving that center forward in many ways, as Tanner mentioned. They're a great group of people, and they really joined together to move the center forward. My time there, I have not seen any splintering. It's all one body, and I can say that I appreciate that as a citizen, because I know that the decisions that are being made are for the best interest of the center and the community. So, thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Rick.
But Dan, I want to thank you also for taking over and charge of the Center for the Arts when we needed somebody. I know it's a lot of work, a lot of your time. You got a lot of volunteers that do a lot of work there also. And that's an icon for it. Really appreciate everything you do.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you.
If there's nothing else, I'd like to make a motion. I motion to waive the prior discussion rule and approve the second quarter fiscal year 22-23 amount of $11,447.56 to the Center for the Art. To the Clover Valley Center for the Arts to be paid from account number 10-51-51920 General Fund, Clover Valley Center for the Arts.
Second.
Motion second for approval of item 5C. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you guys.
Okay.
We have item 5B. We have public hearing and consideration to approve the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation of approval of case number UP-23-01, a request for a conditional use permit to allow a marijuana dispensary establishment in the C3 Central Commercial and Historic Preservation Overlay Zoning District pursuant to zoning 14-5-18A4 and 14-5-19B for the property located at 290 North Broad Street, assessor parcel number 208-03-220, and request to waive section 2-4-10A prior discussion ruling. We have Dana online.
Right, Dana is presenting this.
To Mayor Gomeros, thank you for having me this evening to present this item to you and council members. Good evening. As you mentioned, this is a request for a conditional use permit for a recreational adult use marijuana dispensary located in our historic downtown. I'll just take you through a brief presentation and then open it up for you to discuss and open up a public hearing. Just to remind you, conditional use permits run with the land. Though we know that the marijuana dispensary licenses are highly regulated by the state and have conditions attached to that use permit. So there has to be an active license, if you will, by the state for that this continued conditional use permit to remain active and in compliance. It requires public notice and public hearing, which we have performed. At least days of notification of all property owners within 300 feet, posting on the site, as well as public hearings notice in legal ads newspaper. And then again, conditional uses permits are to allow a particular use in a zoning district with special conditions and standards for operation, such as to ensure protection of surrounding properties from potential nuisances that could arise from that. Just real quick, we'll give you a quick background update where we're at with our dispensaries and other related use permits in the city. We currently have 2 active conditional use permits for marijuana-related activities. One being the last year's approval of the Mojave Cannabis Dispensary that's located there as Tractor Supply on the west side of town, northwest side of town. And then a grow facility that was approved back in 2012, I think, last decade. That is strictly for cultivation. This particular application, which is located at the bowling alley, the old former bowling alley, this particular application is made by the owner of that facility, the cultivation facility, to bring recreational dispensary downtown. Your zoning ordinance allows up to 2 recreational adult use licenses or CUPs in the city, as well as 2 medical marijuana dispensaries. If you recall conversation and discussion at the time of developing those policies, the idea was that ultimately to have 2 dual licensed locations to compete within our global market area, and that's it. There's your location of this use permit on the west side of Broad Street, 1 building south of Mesquite. And if you recall, a prior use permit was issued for a medical marijuana facility dispensary here at the corner of Cedar and Broad, which has since moved and no longer, use permit is no longer valid there. It has expired. And this is all C3, obviously in this darker area, really aligned for the most part is the historic preservation district. There's a close-up of the site location. Here is the building floor plan on the left. Identify the areas for their function, how it will be utilized. This pink-red area in the front is waiting. It's the waiting room. It's our understanding, well, no marijuana products can be visible from the exterior of the building. So this is simply marketing window as well as a waiting area. Then this would be obscured here with these doorways. The blue area is where the employees can access only. And that green area would be the patron shopping area with the counter for transactions when the employees are be on the opposite side. There is a security plan that's required to be submitted prior to issuing a business license, should this conditional use permit be approved. And that security plan really lays out all the measures in place for ensuring that any product is not accessible by the public. There's cameras and monitoring taking place to ensure the security of the property. And then the rest, the white area would be offices and uses. I understand there's a basement that's not going to be utilized for any aspect of this operation. And obviously there's a second story, you can see on the image to the right. Second story, which also is not planned to be utilized for any aspect of this use permit, with exception to office administrative storage, things like that. Should a new use be proposed for another part of the building, we'll take a look at that, make sure that we comply with all the requirements and business come back before council for whatever reason for an amendment. Obviously, that could be a scenario. We'll ensure that will be the case if it is justified. That said, the proposed signage you see on the elevation is scheduled to go before the Historic Preservation Advisory Commission tomorrow morning, and then they'll make a recommendation to council for you to consider at your next meeting, possibly. So through that public outreach process, we did receive one letter, which is included as Exhibit B, I believe, in your staff reports from this pub owners, who expressed concern with existing parking and wasn't in support of this use permit request, but just identified that there's some difficulty during certain times of the day for her patrons or their patrons to find parking spaces. The city's very well aware of their parking concerns downtown, and understand we are taking some improvements and studies to bring forward to council to see how we can better address parking in the downtown that are experiencing issues. Aside from that, the Planning and Zoning Commission held their public hearing last Wednesday evening. We had no comment during that process, and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended the City Council motion to approve this case with the conditions that are listed in the staff report. Mayor, ends my presentation. Be happy to respond to any questions.
Go ahead, Fernando.
It's Fernando. So my understanding is that there were 2 recreational permits being allocated to Hilo County, which I think one went up north, one went here. And then the other way to get an additional one was to apply for the underserved communities. Is that what happened in this case?
So I think you have it correct. Yes, this would be a social equity permit that was received in the last round of ADHS licensing. And you probably saw in the exhibits that the license was included in there. It's from a location down in Phoenix, which has not been utilized and be transferred to Globe, which is good to hear. We don't expect, we understand there's going to be one medical license coming out to each county that does not currently have a medical dispensary, and that is the case for Hilo County. There is anticipation of that probably go back to Payson as well, as they have the last medical license and move that to them. So they anticipate they've got vacancy or a space that's been for ADHS is they give priority to locations to quickly get them up back. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you.
Maria.
Mayor, so, Paul, if there's an implication of a downtown parking study being done, is that something your office will pursue?
Right. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Councilman Gonzalez, parking was identified as part of a strategic action plan council. Parking is one of those problems that as we grow, we will face, and we are looking at options, big and small options, short term, middle term, long term, and in trying to manage and take advantage of resources we have, and while looking for additional resources, also looking at timing and different types of signage and things like that. But we don't believe that there's gonna be a lot of, I think Dana can help me, a lot of long-term parking in front of there, people come and go. And so I think the impact will be minimal. Again, there's a lot of shaking up the parking. People, don't sit there and park all day, which is probably the best thing. But parking is a priority, and parking is something we're looking at and part of our set of studies we have going on.
Go ahead, Fernando.
We're on that parking. I don't know that I remember seeing any public parking signs, but that little lot there used to be the fire training station there on the corner of Mesquite and Pine. It's real close to this location, so even if we had a good sign to set additional public parking this way, it would probably be better.
then
Yeah,
there's probably 20 spaces there that are within 150 yards.
Yeah, and we have the parking behind that we're trying to make more identifiable. I think we try to limit, we try to manage the variety of types of parking. But Dana, was there a request for, I think there was a request for limited parking at some point, and we were shying away from that?
Well, so a couple things. We did receive a request unrelated to this site, this application. Actually, it was for the Hill Street. Is that what you're referencing?
Oh, I might have been, yeah, I think that was so
And-
scratch that. That was a different site.
But that's basically, that request has obviously elevated our review of parking and needs of parking and as residents or businesses request. So the Planning and Zoning Commission coincidentally requested a presentation at their next meeting, which should be on the 15th, where we'll kind of outline where we're at today and we think we're headed with the parking study, and just to kind of present some of those similar things that we discussed during another agenda previous council meetings.
And
just to explain kind of the elements that we need to look at and the number of different tools that we have disposal to help businesses and residents designate parking spaces in some ways, provide some amount of guarantee to whatever extent we can in the public on street spaces.
Dana, thank you. And Mr. Mayor, members of council, we can bring that same presentation that we're planning to do for P&Z, which asks, and bring that forward to council and talk about, update everyone on what our efforts are doing to try to resolve and allow for more flexible parking. And is this problem, we're working to fill every building on Broad Street and get activity. And so we are also looking to plan ahead for the parking.
I think the parking lot that I was talking about, there's a lot of parking there, but there's also probably potential for additional parking. Align it in a different manner or something, but also provide the signage, like you say, on Broad Street. This is public parking. You go to Sedona, you go to Cottonwood, and you see those back alley parking spots. So people aren't aware, but they have signage to direct you to those public parking. That's a city parking lot.
Yeah. And Mr. Mayor, members of council, I think Public Works Director John Engel would like to comment a little bit.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As previously mentioned, we have done certain surveys and studies with their engineering department or previous Public Works Director, Jerry Barnes, where we're looking at reducing the size of parking spaces and trying to spread it out with additional. Where right now they actually meet the standard, the bare standard, minimum standard. So we can't really decrease that size. Mayor, to your comment, actually on Broad Street and Mesquite, we've actually had some signage increased on the light posts, trying to direct some parking, which we call the city's parking lot that's behind there, and even behind the Bailey parking lot. We just worked with Glow PD as far as some enforcement areas and trying to add additional signage and striping. But the biggest thing that we usually look at is the standard that's required. The federal guidelines and standards that we brought before to you, and it's the width, the stands of the egress, and coming into the property and actually leaving it safely. The parking lot that's actually off of Pine Street that we really utilizing as city parking for our staff and our fire equipment and stuff. That at some point we had talked about closing off because we have different city vehicles that actually are in that area. We've also looked at that previously in the study, but the biggest thing is turnaround space. Really, anybody that pulls in there, you're going to have to back out of it. So the signage to direct community, the public traffic in that manner is probably not going to meet any federal standard and be compliant. So it is a resource that we can utilize for our staff and our equipment. So taking vehicles that city staff would utilize in that area, and that would open up additional parking for the public around the submarine area. That's basically how we've been utilizing that to best capacity.
John, it's been a long discussion for many years about the fire department parking behind the copper hand in that area, fencing it off. They're personal vehicles, so they're secure because if they're working 48-hour shifts, it gets them off the street and allows for public parking. If we would allow the firefighters to park in that parking lot, it would be a big plus to that area, to that one location.
Yes, Mayor, that's actually one of the areas that I spoke with Chief Gary at different times, that we're really kind of working certain things into the budget, having security highlighter and even additional lighting. That way, that would open up that surrounding area for that.
No, we have to have a public hearing for this. We're not in public hearing right now. We're just in presentation.
Correct. And Dana, and Kelly, we do have to have a public, yes, we do have, and the applicant is here also.
So I'm gonna, if there's no other presentation, I'm gonna go ahead and open the public hearing for this subject. So if there's anybody who wants to comment on this request, please come up and comment.
And do we see anybody on the phone? We're checking the phone. Yeah. So we see nothing in the email, nothing on the phone, and no one approaching the podium. Mr. Mayor, members of council.
Any comment from police or fire? We're good.
If you'd like to hear from police or fire, they're happy to comment. They commented at the to the P&Z. Dale, Chief Walters, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. As I stated at the P&Z meeting, Mayor, this falls within state statute, it falls within city zoning. They've done everything correctly as to date. The actual ownership actually, they've actually proven play by the rules and do a nice job. So the reality of it is we're supporting any business that comes in here that meets all those prerequisites, and this one surely does. So we'll continue to work with the owners for the structuring process of this, but it's been a positive for us so far.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, council members, same way for us as far as fire code and compliance with fire code. With previous interactions, a little bit positive. I don't anticipate seeing anything else going forward. I believe Chief Walters, business come in, they can meet the requirements they need to meet. Bring business into the community.
Any comment from the applicant at all?
And if you'd like to speak, you're welcome to come to the podium. So, yeah.
You don't have.
Thanks. And Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I will say that we are asking to waive the rules on this as it comes to council, but it's not the first time that has been advertised and posted. We had a full-blown P&Z posting for the public hearing and for this. So the goal of waive the rule is to have multiple chances for people to comment. We had the public hearing in P&Z, and we had the one letter, and now a public hearing here. So we would like to waive the rules because there is the applicant would like to move forward with his ADHS licensing process, and then once he gets the CUP, within 10 days he can get open. So it would be helpful to do the waive the rules, and I think we met the goal of council that the public has two shots at hearing about something.
Mayor, I would move to approve the zoning change.
Oh,
did you have to?
Oh.
We'll go ahead and close the public hearing and move on for a motion.
And now I would move to approve the conditional use permit for the marijuana dispensary as well as the prior discussion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of item 5D. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I would like to add that the applicant has the growth facility in town, and we have gone through a lot of stuff that he has stepped up in his word. He has met his word and met his commitments as we work through the bugs in the city. And so we do have a good history of him follow up and living up to his commitments.
So he's the operator of the dispensary at the old.
Not the dispensary, but the growth facility behind the column. Yeah. And we had to work out some bugs, but it's been going good. And he invested what he needed to invest to meet his commitment.
Well, I just have one question. I've had some people tell me that the one dispensary in town is very expensive relative to what's available further away. So hopefully this will create some competition.
That would be the goal. It's always, so.
Okay, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstained?
Dana, thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Item 5E, discussion and consideration of approving the administrative services contract with Central Arizona Government to administer a 2021 Community Block Grant CDBG in the amount of $23,188 to administer the City of Globe Veterans Park grading, drainage, and sidewalk project for fiscal year 2021. Paul.
And I believe we have Andrea Robles from CAG on Zoom to discuss this.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council.
Hello.
Hey, Andrea, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you good.
I just have a few highlights on the contract that I'd like to share with the council. So as part of the administrative contract, some of the items that we'll be taking care of is completing the environmental review and submitting that to ADOH on behalf of the city. We'll also take care of completing your application so that you can receive your funding. Once you have received your funding, CAG will then work with the city on procurement, on your bid doc, taking care of all of your invoices and receipts. So we basically are the liaison between the city and ADOH. We will then work with your point of contact at the city to let them know when it's time to make payments. We will request the funds on your behalf to the Department of Housing. We'll take care of your financial management on this grant and have all of the backup, do the audits on this project, and prepare all of your closeout. And, just to make sure that the city stays in compliance with all of the CDBG regulations as required by ADOH. I can go into more detail if you wish, or if the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions for Andrea?
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, Andrea and the CAG staff has been wonderful to operate. Sometimes we get a little out in front of ourselves, and they've helped out, and they have been very generous on trying to maintain reasonable fees also. So thank you. Thank you, Andrea.
Do we have a timeline when we're able to implement this grant, or as part of work, and when it'll begin?
Andrea, do you have a timeline on that, or?
Yeah, so staff has actually started working on, the application has been submitted. Since you guys did revise your scope of work a few months back, so I also wanted to mention that there was a $5,000 discount included thanks to Jerry Barnes for requesting that. We did not charge for a second application fee. So work has begun. We had to submit the environmental review to be able to submit that new application. Staff will be out there, I believe, March 7th. To work. I believe there's a bid opening that day, so my staff should be out there next week.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd hate to give you deadlines or commitments on the actual construction and how long that's going to take. I don't have that information handy right now. So, but we're geared up. So
I know this is on new business, but this is an item we discussed before. Is there a reason that this isn't an action item or do we?
I think because we've discussed it, we can move forward with approval. But just because it's on new agenda, you might want to just throw in the way the rule in there.
Yeah, there's another question or comments, I motion to waive the rules and approve the administrative service contract with Central Arizona Government to administer our 2021 Community Development Block Grant in the amount of $23,188 to administer the City of Globe Veterans Creating Grant for the fiscal year 2020.
Second. Motion second for approval of item 5B. Is there any further discussion? Favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. And I think, are we tabling item F?
Correct.
Further discussion on the lease, so we're going to table. So we have a motion to table item 5F. We have a motion second to table item 5F. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Action item 6A, consideration to approve contract number PS-2023-0054 with Hub Planning and Urban Design LLC and the designation of Dana Burkhardt as zoning administrator for the City of Globe on an as-needed basis in a contract amount not to exceed $70,000 for a one-year term with addition 2-year term renewal option funded to the account number 10-55- 51234 administrative contractual services.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, I think Dana is still on the Zoom to answer any questions. But like I say, this has been Dana's been a key member of our staff for 3 years now. This is a reasonable and justifiable increase from the $65 to $75, and then the amount should cover a full year of his service. But he's instrumental for the changes and the growth and the professionalism and tidying up some of the things that in the past we wouldn't take the time to do. So the staff strongly urges council to approve this contract. Dana, anything else you'd like to say? Or
Thank you very much, Paul, Mayor, council members. Again, it's been a pleasure to work with you, your Planning and Zoning Commission, your Historic Preservation Advisory Committee, obviously staff, and Paul, Linda. I look forward to continuing that value to the community and throughout the year. Happy to respond to any questions you might have.
One constituent said to me in the recent past that on a particular subject, well, I wasn't notified about this. And I can stand on the work that Dana does for us. He sticks to all of the things we need to do to notify many particular actions I've seen this last couple of years. So I can rebuttal that comment easily. I said, we didn't take the time on the subject, and I can go to Dana, and I know he'll pull up whatever action or record is needed to help in the notification process. That in itself is golden.
Yeah.
And speaking as a former planning and zoning commission member, that's easy. Now it's rock solid. And I know I can get to you, Paul, and you can follow up on any question I have about notification, or any action that's being doing, or activity in the business community about any type of improvement. So over to
And I think we had a full discussion last time.
Yeah.
How vital he is to our development.
Yes.
Service team, so,
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd say the consistency in the notification is not whether we over notify or under notify, so we notify consistently between types of hearings and types of activity.
Mr. Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I would make a recommendation that we approve contract number PS-2023-0054 with Hub Planning and Urban Design LLC, and the designation of Dana Burkhart as the zoning administrator for the city of Globe in a contract amount not to exceed $75,000 funded from account number 10-55-51-234, administration contractual services.
Second. Motion and second for approval of item 6A. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to say something real quick. Sometimes people have the right knowledge and they know all the answers, but their bedside manner stinks. And that's definitely not Dana. Dana is always calm, collected. He listens to people. Sometimes they just gotta be heard. You gotta just shut up long enough to hear him. And he just does that. And I'm just grateful. I think we're lucky to have him.
Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Okay. We go to late agenda item 7A, discussion and possible approval of updated attachment A to the contract number GS-2017-0060 to Pat Walker Consulting LLC, approving an engagement letter, scope of work to provide 2 financial professionals, Elias Eli
Joeen.
How do you say it?
Joeen. I'll work on that.
Former finance director for the city of Winslow, and Tina Allen, former budget administrator for Maricopa County, to provide all services necessary to present the fiscal year 23-24 budget for council approval and funding approval in the amount not to exceed $135,275 to be paid from account number 55-51001 General Fund Administration, and request to waive section 2-4-10A prior discussion.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, at the strategic action plan, we talked about the fact that we had estimates and we had looked at the budget, but we have not, because of staffing difficulties and staffing turnover, we are not ready to bring a budget update at that time. But I committed to you that by the time we got to the budget, we would have a solid budget was based on solid numbers. In order to fulfill that commitment, and working with Pat Walker, Pat Walker went to great lengths and found not just one, but 2 key people, seasoned professionals in their own right, to bring on to her staff and operate under her contract and overseen by Pat Walker, vetted by Pat Walker, and they both are. We've interviewed both of them. We seem like they're going to be a great fit. The 2 people. Eli is former, just recently, within 2 weeks, retired from the city of Winslow, Arizona, after I think 6 to 8 years service there, and then additional work in Bisbee. And he is responsible for getting ready for the budget preparation and making sure that of that the money, that the information given to the auditors is correct, and that the foundation of the upcoming budget is correct. And so he will look at all the activities from the past year and from this budget cycle to make sure that we're ready to go with that budget process. And then Tina Allen, former administrator for Maricopa County, she will be the one working with me to make sure that we staff and pull all the parts together to have a quality budget process, and I think accuracy and a tight budget, just a very accurate budget. So you have evidence that the plan going forward. Budget is a roadmap, but it's a very important roadmap, and it needs to be built on accurate foundational computations. We have both those pieces in place by adding both these professionals on here. Eli will be the person in-house. His contract asks for him to be here Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for the next 18 weeks. Tina will come up 4 to 6 times a month, but primarily on council nights and any type of work sessions that we have, in order to work with myself and with council to make sure that we have the met. And Pat Walker will be looking in on all of this. Every 2 weeks, we'll have a group meeting between Pat Walker, myself, and the 2 contractors to make sure we're all on the same page and to coordinate everyone's efforts. And finance has just moved over to the CVS building, and they will both have office spaces over there. We now can have people in City Hall who are not floating anymore, but have offices. So this has worked out. It was something that we were able to come together with, and it's just very, very nice how this all fell together. It fell together in time that we have time for these two professionals to do their work and retain and I thank council for the confidence and the trust you've shown for the city and our staff. Now, here is our response to make sure that you have confidence to vote for a solid budget based on solid numbers in the future coming up.
Mike?
And these folks will be starting.
Eli should be pulling into town right about now, and he's not. I didn't ask him to come to the meeting because he's been driving. He starts at 8:30 tomorrow morning. We have his first appointment.
And they'll be in the CVS building?
They'll be CVS building. Yeah. Tina will be meeting. We haven't scheduled a meeting. She's more flexible. I want to use her time up here to catch the group. Her first meeting will be with myself and Shelley to make sure we have the budget calendar locked in. And so we make sure we know what the deadlines are.
And both of these will be full-time?
No, they're
part-time.
They're part-time. These are hourly contracts based on hourly rate. The expected weekly hours for Eli will be 30 hours a week, and for Tina will be 20 hours a week. Now, this is a not to exceed number. It could go lower. Depends if we get to as we get everything tied up and everything looking good, we may be able to reduce their hours as they get into this, but we plan for this a total of 50 hours a week for both of them combined.
Staff that we currently have now.
Our staff, and this is an opportunity for them to assist and learn from these two quality professional people, and they will help us as we rebuild our staff, and we do need to go out and seek a full-time local finance person. And that is next on my list of things to accomplish. We've already had conversations. We already had some leads. We're still working on that. But with confidence, I can tell you this will get us to the budget process, through the audit process, and then that gives us a little elbow room to try to seal up the long-term solution. But they will be evaluating our staff we have now, and our staff will be learning and sponging up whatever they can learn from.
Okay, so currently we have 2 on staff.
Correct.
And we're looking for the 3rd one.
Right. Yeah, well, we're looking to put together what it takes to run a very complex. We don't have the greatest dollar amount as many cities, but I tell you the complexity of all the things we have going on: federal money, ARPA money, WIFA money, excise tax, and yeah. So our budget is not as simple. So okay. Thank you. Okay.
Just comment, Paul, I don't know how you pull these rabbits out of your hat. You really done some quality deep.
We, sometimes the stars align, and we're very excited. And we will have them next council meeting. I will have both of them up here to meet in person. So
very impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think I've stated this before, how much on our budget prior to us getting ready for the next budget year. This budget is, our operation budget is only slightly.
Yes.
I mean, there's so much in our finances. It's real complex. You're talking all kinds of funding from the federal, from the state, from grants. I mean, it's vital that we keep up and able to be able to balance it all out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and
just
tonight, Mr. Mayor, members of council, with another 2.1 million, and that will have to. I don't know exactly the process of receiving that and expending that, and there's, it's not going to be as simple as the bridge money. But no, we are. I can't not give a shout out to Pat Walker. She has gone above and beyond for the City of Globe. She has strong ties to us. She's been here since I've been here in 2016, helping us through this process. And she really cares about the city. Definitely an honorable member of the community for all. So.
Any questions or comments?
No other questions or comments, Mayor, I motion to approve as read and the section 2.4
Second.
Motion second for approval of item number 7A. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining?
Thank you.
We have our second call to the public. Do we have anybody online?
Okay.
Keep your cards here.
Wait. Oh, Mr. Mayor, on the second call to the public, John, just tell me from here and then I'll tell it on the microphone. The water leak?
The current water leak situation, the valve has actually been set through their backfill and we don't have water within the next half hour. The guys just got to flush out the line for it. Up in the morning, but we hope at least within the next half hour.
So they've fixed the valve, they're flushing out the lines, they're finishing the groundwork around that. And we hope to have water in a half an hour to those people. So that would be the call to the public there.
Thank you, John.
Yeah. And I've seen nothing on the internet and no text. So we're good there.
We're good?
Yes.
Scheduling the meetings,
Nothing at this moment.
future agenda items?
No.
Motion to go into E-session?
Yes.
Motion second to go into executive session. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay.
Okay. Thank you very much. And then I need Chief Walters, John Willow, Linda to stay.
Thank you for attending our meeting.
And we have no intention, there's no plan to come back in any future additional action after we come out of E-session. So.